So how is this working? Is there I see one classroom there. Hello, everybody in that classroom.
Yeah. So I am broadcasting this to four different schools that we have in the San Gabriel Valley region. Right now, I
Oh,
have, a few kids in here in the classroom with me, and then you're being broadcasted to our other center in Duarte, Ramona, and West Covina.
wow. Okay. Hi, everybody. Wow. That's so crazy. Really didn't know how this was going to work, but
Yeah. So no
cool.
pressure. Just I'll let you take it away. And um, how do you pronounce your name?
My name is Kira Kalush. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, Kira. Well, I'll let you take it away.
Okay, cool. And hello Duarte. Hello Long Beach. Okay. Sorry, I was getting chats from nice people. Okay. Yeah, so my name is Kira Kalush. I am a writer and producer. I mostly work in TV. I also do features, but today I'm mostly going to be talking about my work in TV because it's very specific. Comedy TV, drama TV, and writing movies or features are all like three very different styles of living, despite doing the creative work, like very similar creative work. But so that's why I'm just kind of focusing on TV. Um, yeah, I went to American University. It's in DC. I actually transferred there. I went to Colorado State University for a while. I studied abroad and then I transferred to American. So I was only at American for 2 years, but that's where I graduated from. I have been in the workforce for 14 years. I did a lot of assistant work all around town and eventually got into the WGA and I've been working in the WGA, which is the Writers Guild, for 10 years, doing and I first got into that working on a TV show called The Last Man on Earth, which was on Fox years ago. When I was a child, I wanted to be a director. I wanted to do voiceover for cartoons, mostly because of Mrs. Doubtfire. I wanted to be a costume designer and I wanted to be a dog walker. And I definitely did not want to make PowerPoints because this was, for some reason, very challenging for me. Um, but yeah, so I always kind of wanted to do something industry adjacent, always very creative. And really I wanted to work in comedy as long as I could remember. So that was kind of the only thing I knew, and I never thought I would be a writer. All right, what there, let's go to the next slide here. So
Awesome.
I think I get into that. Okay, all right, we're gonna go through the basics of what life is like in TV. So when you think about like movies and stuff, you're probably like, oh, it's all about the director's vision. It's like the director's the king. In TV, the writers are the king. Directors just kind of like come on for an episode at a time, but the writers are the ones who make the final decision. We like build everything, like all the characters, we come up with everything that they experience. We decide what they wear, we decide what their houses look like, we decide, all of those things come from the writer, and the decisions, the final word is always with the head writer or the showrunner. And so we do so much more than just like write the words that they say. So yeah, we do a lot of that stuff in pre-production of like the world building, and then obviously like writing the scripts and figuring out the arc of the season and what's going to happen in the season, what every character is going to experience in the season, what big moments are going to happen. And then as a writer producer, you also go on set when they're shooting and you make sure that you're managing what's happening. On set, and that it's like staying true to what everybody has decided upon in pre-production and in the writer's room. And then you manage everything going into post-production, which is in the editing of everything and making sure that that all is still translating. So uh the main thing is like working in in a writer's room. That's like the main part of being a writer. And on a show like The Last Man on Earth or Ghost, which are like the two main shows that I've worked on, um, there's a lot of people. There's like 12, 13, 14 people all trying to uh, uh, create one vision, which is usually of the showrunner or the head writer. And that is so complex, as you can probably imagine. Having done any group project, you probably understand like trying to like decide on one thing is very hard. And then when you have 14 people, it's crazy. And there's no right answer, because everything's really it's subjective, so it's just like whatever that head writer wants. And so you do a lot of time, you do a lot of work trying to like figure out the humor of that head writer, and their sensibilities, and like what kind of themes they like to talk about. So there's a lot of like there's a lot of politics, weirdly, in a writer's room, but ultimately it's very fun, and you also have a lot of inside jokes together, and it's great. And then you get to like get your audience in on your inside jokes if you do it right. It's fun. um but yes, like I said before, I never ever thought I would become a writer. I thought writers were like people, mostly like white dudes who went to Harvard, and that is like super not me. Yeah, like I said, I like went to a state school, and this other, like, I just have like an unconventional thing. I'm from Colorado. Um I I grew up in like a news family. My parents worked in news, so it was like kind of close to the industry, but it still felt very different, very separate. And I was like, I'm not smart enough to become a writer. Like I'm just a regular lady. Um, but as I said before, I was an assistant for many years, and so kind of worked my way into becoming. I was Will Forte's assistant on Last Man on Earth for the first season, and I was like, oh my God, I just admired him so much. He was, on SNL, and I was like a big SNL nerd, growing up, and uh yeah, just being in that room, it was all a bunch of SNL writer alums. And so I was like, oh my God, I could never be one of them. I guess I'll have to figure out some other career. But what I didn't really realize was working with Will, I was pitching stories to him. I was pitching jokes to him. I was already like, doing a lot of the work as a writer. And for season two, there was a brand new crazy concept of a diversity initiative and trying to get more diverse voices into the writers' room. There were no people of color in the writers' room at that time. And so I was like, oh, this is so cool. There's going to be like a person of color coming in. This is going to be so exciting. And then other people were like, Will, why don't you just hire Kira? And and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's a great idea." And so I kind of had this backwards way of getting staffed, and that's how I got staffed, was through this great and a diversity initiative. Um, and from then it was like immediately I was like, "Oh my God, I love this job. This is so fun." I learned so much so quickly. Um, but that is like only one of 1 million ways of becoming a writer. There's really not one specific path. The most conventional path is to kind of work your way up through the assistant route. And there's a more traditional assistant route, which is like every writer's room has um there's a bunch of levels of writers, and then we have a script coordinator who helps us um kind of output scripts and make sure they're formatted correctly and make sure they get to everybody who needs them. And then there's a writer's assistant who takes notes throughout all day, everything everybody says, the writer's assistant notes. And then we have a writer's PA production assistant, who will like pretty much feed us. Their whole job is pretty much they just feed us give us lunch and coffee and make sure we have groceries, which is awesome because they feed you at work and that's huge. But so usually you kind of work your way up through that ladder of the PA to the writer assistant to the script coordinator, and then typically after that you get staffed. But there are just 1 million ways to become a writer. Thankfully, the diversity initiative worked really well for me. So let's see, what do I have? What's
That's
next?
incredible. Yeah, let's move
Thanks.
on.
Yeah. Okay. So a day in the life of a TV writer. All right. Um, so like I said, there's kind of two different main spaces that we work in the writer's room and on set. So going through working in the writer's room, the way that we kind of create an episode is we all, like I said, discuss what kind of story we want to tell. First of all, it's like, okay, well, with the season premiere, we left off, with this big cliffhanger. What kind of story do we want to tell? Uh, or like who do we need to profile, like who needs a big story this week, or whatever it is, everybody decides um generally what the story is, and we kind of come up with like a 3 act structure of what that will look like using a whiteboard. And if it's your episode to write, because everybody's kind of like gets assigned like an episode. If it's my episode, I then go off and I take like all the information from the whiteboard, all the notes that the writer's assistant has taken, and I go off and write a story document, which is just kind of like a big summary that's maybe like 4 pages long. And I just say, here's the A story, here's the B story, here's how they come together, here's generally the idea of the episode. We turn that in, we get notes from the studio and network. They tell us what they like, what they don't like. The bosses tell us what they like and what they don't like. I go make changes, and then I expand on it to build an outline, which is just a larger version of that document, which is like 8 pages long. Once that goes through the same structure, usually of like getting studio and network notes, the bosses go through it. Usually the other way around, actually, the bosses go through it first and then the studio network. And then once it's like approved, then you go off and you leave for a week. Some people like go to a hotel or whatever, and they write the script. So the way that I usually do it is like the first day I just format, and then I write act one in a day, act two in a day, act three in a day, and then just spend the rest of the time making jokes funnier and cutting where I need to cut. And yeah, so then you come back with a script, and again, it's the same boring process. TV's so boring sometimes. It's notes from your bosses, notes from the studio and network, lots and lots of editing. Um, and then we do a table read where the cast will read all the parts, and just to like get a sense of how it is. Again, get another round of boring notes, make some changes, and then it's ready to be shot. So then when you're on set, your main job on set is to work as a liaison to the writer's room. So um, you are making sure that what the director is getting, because like I said, the director is not with the show all the time. It's like every week the director changes. So the director doesn't know all the stories that you've told. The director doesn't know all the stories you're going to tell. So you're like, oh, I need this character to, they would react like this because this happened to them last week, Or if bringing up this character, they have a crush on that character, then you want them to react this way. So you're really like making sure that everything works in the grand scheme of things in terms of like the tone and just the delivery of everything. You're also like constantly pitching new jokes to try. You have to like get what is scripted, but you also are gonna like, oh, if I have a funnier joke, let's try that. Or like this part is feeling kind of weird, that joke's not hitting, or the actor's like, this feels really weird coming out of my mouth, like I can't get this out right. Then you're like, okay, let's try this joke, let's try that joke. And so there's just a lot of like rolling with the punches and just trying to make sure that everything is translating the way that you want it to be.
And Kira, have you worked at any studios that the students might be familiar with?
So the main shows that I've only worked on three shows, but I worked on The Last Man on Earth for a while, and that was on Fox. And we shot that in Chatsworth. There's like a facility there that's like the writer's room and the stages were all in one place. So that wasn't on a traditional lot. And then I worked on this Punky Brewster reboot, which was on Peacock. It was like on for one season, very sadly did not continue. And that was during the pandemic. So the writer's room was all on Zoom, and I never got to go to the stages. We just would get feeds of of what was happening on stage. And but normally with that show's a multicam, and so there's usually a live audience, there's a lot of people around, and so you're usually like very all the writers are on set for that. But I don't know where that shot because I never went. I don't remember, but probably at Universal. And then the show that I work on now, or actually you'll find out no longer work on, but Ghosts, what I most recently worked on is it shoots in Montreal.
Oh, wow.
Um yeah, but we are on the Paramount lot. The writer's room is on the Paramount lot. Um so that's a very different experience where we have to like travel to Montreal, and you're just kind of like there for usually like a couple of weeks or something, just covering on set. So yeah,
Loads of fun.
it's fun. It's crazy. Oh, okay. We're gonna get into it. Okay, pros and cons. Pros, this is such a fun job. It like you meet the most amazing people. I love researching for the job. Like you want every character to be um true, and you want people from that part, that part of the world, or that little culture, to feel like, oh yeah, they get me, they get me. And so you do so much research and you interview, and I love that part. I listen to podcasts, read books, everything. That's my favorite part of the job. And then it's also just so fun to be in a writer's room and be with your friends every day making jokes. I mean, that is the job, is hanging out and making jokes. So it's so fun. The cons are huge. It's so uncertain. There's so much instability. It's an emotional roller coaster. Like I was referring to, I just found out I'm not going back to Ghost this year. So I'm like, ugh, I gotta find another job now. And it's just like, it's very, frustrating. And so, and you like put a lot of yourself into all of these jobs. So it's like there's a real personal like exchange of, it's not like you go and, you're like filling out forms all day or something, which is fine if people do that. That sounds like a cool job, but also that you put a lot of your like own feelings and emotions into the job that you're doing. So it can be such an emotional roller coaster when like your show doesn't get picked up, or you're like, or yeah, you don't go back to the job that you were working on, or all of those things. Like it's just it's very close to your own identity. So that's what makes it a tricky job. Um there's, yeah, plenty of tough spells, unemployment. There was an agency agreement that happened a few years ago where the Writers Guild was in a feud with our agents, and they were like, okay, all the writers need to drop their agents until the agents can agree to this thing. And so we all had to fire our agents, and I was unemployed at the time, and that was a really scary moment for me. Eventually, we got out of it and I was able to find another job, but it was really scary. And, you're like, am I going to work again? Strikes. You guys probably heard about the writers and actors strikes that happened. I guess it was last year or the year before. I don't know what year it is. Maybe it was 2023. I don't know. You guys remember it, or maybe you don't. Now you know. Um, so that was a big moment for us where it was like, nobody can work. So that you're not having an income for that period of time. And um, so the answer always is keep writing. It's write your way out. I during the strikes I wrote a feature that I love and I had such a fun time working on it. And then when the strikes were over, it's now in development and we're out to actors trying to like attach somebody to it. And so there are things that can come out of these times um that are always that only come out if you continue writing and if you just keep working, keep at it, because it's very easy to get discouraged, but you have to like just keep going. um Something I do when I'm you know, in kind of a discouraged moment as I kind of watch my favorite shows, my favorite movies, the things that like inspired me to get into this industry. And, like I was that kid that was like watching bonus features for stuff, while all the other kids were like outside and being healthy. That was not me. So I like to rediscover the love of what I'm doing. And yeah, you have to like get lucky. A lot of this industry is also luck because I think that would be a disservice to not mention that. Because there are a lot of really talented people that are not working and whatever. So that is all it's not a fair industry. Um what keeps me going, why it matters. I really I love that the entertainment industry is so widely beloved. It's like the thing that people turn to when people, I love comedy specifically for this reason. When people are in a bad moment of life, they're like, oh, I just need to watch a funny movie, or I want to watch a movie that makes me cry my little baby eyes out, or whatever. It's like entertainment is the thing that helps us all through everything. It's kind of like yeah, I don't know. It's a salve to our souls in a way. It sounds so corny. I did it. I said it.
No,
Okay.
I 10 out of 10 agree.
Yeah. So the work, even though sometimes you're like, I'm just sitting in my office writing stupid jokes, you're like, no, these jokes matter. They make a difference to people. The amount of people that have reached out to me to say, oh, that episode was like carried me through this thing, a lot of people have said things like that to me. So it's like it does matter and it makes a difference and joy is very powerful. And I think we don't value that enough sometimes. But in comedy we do.
No, I agree. Even so many years later, we still all find ourselves quoting Mean Girls.
Yeah. Yeah. See, it's like it's a culture shaper. So to be a part of that, it's so special. It's so incredible. Yeah, these are just I didn't really know what to put here, so I put a bunch of pictures. But this you can see we're all on Zoom in the center there as we do a lot of times. Like we still do that now, that we'll all work on something over Zoom. You see in the bottom right, the man with the whiteboard, that's like how we will start an episode and we just all kind of, you know, uh sit and discuss. That's the Ghost Writers Room, the big group of people from last season. Um, and then top right, that's me and another writer on set for Ghosts in Montreal. I'm clearly very cold, because I look like a giant caterpillar. And then top left, I am on set for ghosts. And so that's kind of how that looks is like you're off to the side, watching what the cameras are capturing on these two monitors. And and then you're wearing headphones so you can hear everything that the actors are saying. And then you just have your script there and you're just going through and making sure everything is looking good and going as planned. So yeah,
It looks like loads of fun.
it's fun. It's really fun. Um, Takeaways. So, um, in terms of writing, this is kind of just like, you know, what you can, why I think being a writer is interesting and good. Um, it's that like I think being a writer makes you a better person because you really have to look at things from everybody's perspective. So everybody, there's no like true villain, If you're a good writer, there's no true villain. Everybody just has their own perspective on things. And yes, some people have like they're making bad decisions, but they're real full people. And I think that really translates to the outside world and writing kind of highlights that. Um, and then when you are writing and when you're, thinking about the things that you want to say, the most important thing you can possibly do is to be true to yourself and to get quiet and listen to what is in your heart, and listen to what you want to say. Like, what do you want to say to the world? It's much easier for me to sit down in a quiet room and think about those things and then put a bunch of jokes on the page than it is for me to like do something like this. Like this is hard for me. I feel like I'm rambling all the time. I'm much more eloquent when I can like sit down and do it exactly the way I want to do and think about what I really want to say. So it helps you kind of like reconnect to yourself and see what you want and what you want to say, what you want to fight for. Because this is a powerful art form, and it matters. Um, where do I see myself in 10 years? Employed, guys. I want a job. But more than that, I really hope I do a little bit of like directing as well, but so I hope to like expand into directing more. I want to write a bunch of movies. I love writing movies, so that's like something I'm really excited to like dive into right now. And yeah, I would love to have my own show. I just, all those big things. And lots of small things. Like I'm a mom. I just want to have like my little dumb garden and grow tomatoes at the same time. So balance really is what I want. Uh, but yeah, I think that's kind of it. Okay. Yes. So moral of the story, listen to yourself, know yourself, uh, feel what's happening in the world because what you're feeling, a lot of people are feeling it too. So if you have an avenue to say that, say it. Because like say the thing that you need to hear, be that. Um, uh, keep at it, just keep going. Um, because art is eternal and art is for everyone. So yeah, focus on what brings you joy. What do you want to say? And just keep going. And I hope that if even if you don't think of yourself as an artist, just try because again, art is for everyone. So thank you guys. Is
Okay.
there any questions or anything?
Yeah, I'll leave it open to the students. If you want to ask a question, go ahead. If you'd like to put it in the chat, go ahead and tell your teacher and type it in. Anybody?
I talked a lot. It's okay.
Going once, going
Hey,
twice.
Luis, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead,
Okay, I
Jose.
have a student, Mia. She has a question, so go ahead. Let me see.
Hello, I'm Mia. I was wondering, as an inspiring actor, writer myself, if you have anything you would tell your past self.
Ooh, okay. Thinking about myself in high school. Um, and well, I think one of the big things I probably would tell my past self is to believe in myself more and stop thinking about what other people might want from me and think about what I truly want. Um, because I think that would have gotten me quicker to the things that I love now, is if I took the time to kind of say no and create a little bit of friction and say, no, I want to do this. This is what I want to do. Um, Even if it's unconventional and a little bit weird. So Mia, I hope you keep at it. I'm so excited to hear that.
Thank you.
And Kira, I know you said earlier that you never thought you'd be a writer. What kind of jobs did you do before that led you into this industry?
Um, so I just I wanted to be a director. I still want to be a director. Still have those dreams. But yeah, so I my first job out here was working at a very small agency where I was an assistant, and then I was like running auditions in a voiceover booth. Um, so I did that for a while, and then I got into development for Fuse, which I don't even know if that really exists anymore. It's like kind of like an MTV type of thing, but not as good. And so I worked in development as an assistant there, and then jumped to an assistant job at 20th Century Fox. Very quickly realized that was a very traditional, conventional environment, and I didn't want to be in that. Um, and that's when I ended up becoming an assistant on Last Man on Earth, and made that jump to like that more unstable lifestyle.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history. Um,
Anybody have any questions for Miss Kira?
Um, yeah.
What's your question?
Has she ever worked for like Warner Brothers?
Dora is asking if you've ever worked for Warner Brothers.
Or like, yeah.
I've never worked for Warner Brothers. I've been to the lot, been on some meetings and stuff, but hasn't happened yet.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day. Okay. Anybody else? Any more questions for Miss Kira? Well, if no one has any other questions, well, I'd like to thank you tremendously, Kira, for presenting to our students. And who knows, you might have inspired the next, future generation of students getting into this career path. So thank you.
I hope so. I hope so. I like it's so exciting to know what your generation is going to say. I think you guys are so you've already like lived through so much, and you guys are so cool and interesting that I can't wait to hear more from your generation. So, come find me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Where can students find you? On IMDb, perhaps?
Um, yeah, you can look at the shows and stuff I've worked on IMDb. I'm not really on a lot of social media, but I am on Instagram. It's Kalushi. It's my last name with a Y. But that's kind of it. And I'm not really on it that much. But that's 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 what I got right now.
Well, thanks again, Kira. We really appreciate it. We had a blast, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you guys. Enjoy. Bye.